This is just looming over us 24 hours a day. You just can't escape it, basically. You just can't get away. We look out the window there and we see it. We look out the window there, we see it. Would you like to come out the front and I will show you?
Okay.
There it is.
In this pocket of West Footscray, residents have a front row seat to the construction of a mammoth data centre.
It's just so imposing in every single way. It makes me a bit sad, actually.
Data centres are large facilities filled with servers and IT infrastructure that process our digital lives.
You think about what you do in your daily life on your phone, on a computer, when you're out and about using public transport. It's all digital services that require a data centre to run them.
This is one of more than 250 operating in Australia, facilitating the overwhelming demand for AI and cloud computing.
I think data centres will be to the 21st century what the rail lines were to the 19th century.
This is really, sort of the fourth industrial revolution.
And that revolution is fueling a race to secure a slice of the hundreds of billions of dollars being invested in the sector globally.
In 2026, the top 4 hyperscale companies, Microsoft, Amazon, Google and Meta, have estimated they will invest more than $680 billion US in digital infrastructure and AI. It is a unique moment in history.
But AI data centres have also been described as energy vampires. The huge amounts of electricity and water required to power them has turned it into a hotbed issue in the US.
AI data centers cannot drive up electric prices in communities. We have told them, you got to build your own power plant.
Australia's a really favourable market. We have availability of land and we have an abundance of renewable energy, which is what customers want to power their data centres, clean energy.
90% of data centres in Australia are in Sydney and Melbourne, and currently there is a race on to secure more. Are you the most popular data centre CEO in Australia right now?
I think anyone in digital infrastructure right now is playing an important role at the most important transition in history.
This is zoned industrial.
Yes, true.
What did you expect would be here?
We were sort of expecting that it might be light industrial, maybe manufacturing. There are other businesses in the area who are absolutely fantastic to deal with.
This facility is expanding and will essentially double in size in 2 years.
This will be one of the largest standalone sites in the country, certainly the largest in Victoria today. More than 225 megawatts of IT power here.
What sort of community consultation was there prior to this?
Not a lot. I would say minimal.
NextDC, one of the sector's biggest players in Australia, recently secured development approval to build an almost $1 billion AI factory on an existing industrial site in Port Melbourne. It took just 75 days.
In terms of time and frequency, we're very, very engaged at the planning level with the planning ministers. When we need access to them to discuss the size of the opportunity and planning requirements, we just make the request and generally they're very, very happy to support what we're doing.
As Victoria's Economic Growth Minister, Danny Pearson has been aggressively selling the state to the industry to lure big data centre investment. The state has 40 data centres right now, 11 have been fast-tracked. What advice have you been given about how many data centres Victoria can absorb?
I don't recall receiving any advice as to a specific number. I think from my perspective, this is about working with industry because industry will make a determination as to what they think is in their commercial interest to invest.
The new peak industry body, Data Centres Australia, says the US market, where 80% of the world's data centres are found, is at its limit.
The big US companies are starting to look around the world for where they can put this compute.
In the States, big tech firms recently signed a pledge at the White House to bear the cost of powering new AI data centre projects. Should data centres fund their own power generation?
I don't believe we're there yet. I think like most commercial or industrial users, they don't tend to have to do that themselves.
What's the energy bill of this room?
When you're talking about site scale at more than 100 megawatts, your energy costs are tens of millions of dollars.
In Australia, the amount of energy consumed by data centres from the national grid is expected to triple by 2030. Rob Hammond warns there are too many data centres in the pipeline in Australia and not enough power.
The bottleneck that we've got at the moment is really the infrastructure that connects the generation in the rural areas to the metropolitan areas. And there is a willingness that's been stated by a number of data centre operators to invest in renewable generation infrastructure or the transmission infrastructure to connect it.
Are we likely to see more pressure being put on energy bills as a result of the increased number of data centres?
The data centres themselves won't cause an increase in energy costs. The transmission component, the signing of more than 70% of data centre loads today are fully offset through a power purchasing agreement for solar and wind developments. Data centres increasingly, as they get larger, will actually provide grid stabilising battery support to the national electricity market.
This facility needs power 24/7 and there are contingencies if it doesn't get it.
Essentially the power, the generator is the first or last line of defence. We can proactively go off the grid, so at any point in time the Energy Authority can call us and say, could you please take the data centre off the grid like a grid firming battery.
40 diesel generators currently provide a backup when the energy grid is overwhelmed. That number will increase to more than 100 once the expansion of this data centre is complete. Does this increase in demand for data centres and their consumption of energy, will that mean that people's power bills could go up into the future?
Look, I don't believe so.
Have you received any advice to tell you that they won't?
No, I haven't received advice which would indicate.
Do you share any responsibility in communicating the impact of these projects, these investments could have on Victorians?
Well, I think at the moment, in relation to the usage that data centres have in terms of the entire energy grid, they're relatively small as a user of power relative to other users.
The federal government is currently finalising a set of data centre principles with the states, set to be released in the first half of this year under its national AI plan, a plan expected to establish standards for a growing industry.
The digital infrastructure is needed, just like an airport needs to handle the volume of passengers that want to travel. Over time, digital infrastructure purely gets built to directly support the user's needs.